Welcome back to 13C. Today we're going to be taking a look at kind of the final piece of this package. If you've been following us over the last several months, you've seen this rifle. This is a Spikes Tactical, a sandbox build here with parts from Geisley and Mission First Tactical. If you want to go ahead and check some of those out, you can check some of those previous videos. The one probably one or two videos before this one focused in on the mount. This is a mount from Warren, the QD X-Scale. We did some testing, taking it on and off, return to zero testing, stuff like that. So if you want to check that video out, we'll put some links either down below or up here in this box here if you're watching on YouTube. So today we're going to focus in on the Optic itself. This is in the Elite Tactical line from Bushnell. This is the SMRS II Pro. It's a 1 to 6.5 power variable optic. It's got your quick throw lever from the factory that comes with it up here. You can take that off if you'd like. And it also has an illuminated reticle. The nice thing about the illuminated reticle on this one is it's got 9 power levels on it, standard power levels, as well as 2 night vision settings, NV1 and NV2. As far as for the illuminated reticle portion, it's just that center dot. So it's going to allow you to use the center dot at least in low and no light conditions. The upper level, that 9 on the brightness, if you're in a super sunny day, you're really not going to be able to pick it up, or it's not going to be able to hit too well. But remember, there is the etched reticle in here, and that's your primary method of aiming for this, is using the etched reticle. So you know, you're not going to have to worry about battery life or anything else with your etched reticle. The red dot that's in here, at least basically turns out to be a red dot, is meant for low and no light conditions where you're not going to be able to pick up that black reticle that's in here. Speaking of the reticle, it is their BDC reticle, and it has graduations in here. This one is set up for 5.56 for 55 and 62 grain rounds, and they're ranged out so that you zero this at 100 yards. So your center dot is going to be 100 yards, and then your graduations below that are going to be 2, 3, 4, and 500. We'll roll in some footage of shooting that on 2/3 steel at 200 and 300 yards. And unfortunately, out here, the way our topography is this time of year, with the crops and the way they plow the fields up right as they planted those soybeans and stuff, with the little bit of growth we had, that was just enough to obscure that at 400 yards. So we weren't able to push out and test the 400 or 500 on this right now, but we're going to follow up on that, follow us up on social media, and we'll follow up on some of those testings for the BDC at 200 and 300 yards. Just kind of that seated, a semi-seated type position. Sometimes it's referred to as rice paddy prone. Not really a fan of that terminology necessarily, but that's industry-wide, that's kind of almost what it's referred to. That's the style we were shooting at. So fairly decent way to brace yourself. Not exactly ideal for long range, but at least that way I wasn't crushing any crops, and at the same time I was able to get just enough height to be able to see at least out to the 300 at the 300 range. So 200 yards down, I have a 2/3 piece of steel from Champion Targets strung up on a couple of chains. And first up is going to be a 55 grain, and then you kind of see that next bullet down in there. That is green tip on it. That is 62 grain. So we are going to put those rounds from a semi-seated position here down into the target and see just how our 200 BDC does. 200 yards, 2/3 steel really isn't going to make a difference that much, but we're going to push it out to 300 after this, and then we'll see where the rubber meets the road. So 55 is a hit. And 62 is a hit. Let's push ourselves out to 300. 301.2 yards. That's good enough. All right. So we're gonna do the same setup. I actually grabbed a sling off my UTV before I walked the rest of the way out here. I wanted to get just a little more secure here. Sorry. I don't want to trample the crops here, because they don't like it when I do that. Ask me how I know. Sorry about that last year, guys. Apologies.
All right, so we've got, I don't even remember. All right, so we're gonna have the 55 grain in there first, followed by the 62 at 301. Listen, I hear it hit there, and then I hear it echo off the building that's over there. All right, so there's 55 hit. Let's go for the 62. Nice solid hit on that 62 grain. You could hear that much more, had much more authority behind it than that 55. Interestingly enough, it didn't echo as much from behind on the echo shot as the 55 did. Anyway, that's 300 yards.
So I mentioned it had an etched reticle. This reticle is going to be in the second focal plane on this. So when you're doing your ranging, I mentioned the BDC there, and also has graduations on the side of it for 5 and 10 mile-an-hour winds as you go out at those distances, which is nice to see. You're going to want to range this in the 6.5 power setting, since that reticle is in the second focal plane. Your ranging would be off if you're using it at 1 power. So you want to make sure you do that at 6.5. Most ranging on optics that have reticles in the second focal plane are done at the top end of the magnification. Some are done at about 2/3, but for the majority, most of them are done at the max end. Just pay attention to what your optic is. Like I said, for this one, it's maxed out at 6.5 power. Wise, you've got 1/4 MOA clicks here of adjustment on your turrets. One full turret rotation is 20 MOA, and then you've got 100 total MOA of travel in the optic itself, which should be more than enough for a 6.5 power optic. Being in the Elite Tactical line, this has their EXO coating on the lenses, which helps to repel water, dirt, and debris. We haven't done any dirt or debris testing on this, but as far as a little bit of precipitation out here, water seems to bead up and come off the objective there fairly easily. This is a waterproof and shockproof optic. I believe this is rated IPX67. On this, we'll put the actual stats down below. So for the body itself, you've got 0 reset turrets. The tube is 30 millimeters. On the back here, you've got a fast focus eyepiece to get that reticle tuned into your eye, so it's nice and crisp. Your parallax on this is going to be fixed, and it is parallax free at 100 yards. Technical specs and more dry stuff at 13cgunreviews.com. Feel free to go ahead and check that out. While you're over there, sign up for the newsletter. We send out a maximum of 1 newsletter a week. And usually it's one about every 10 to 14 days on average, but our max is 1 a week. And we do giveaways about quarterly. There's at least 1 giveaway a quarter. Normally more than that, but it just depends on what kind of sponsors we have in to give us stuff. Last one we did, and you may be able to get in on it now depending on when this video posts, was ALG. It was an ACT trigger from ALG Defense. So thank you to them for that. We really appreciate it. Otherwise, as far as this optic is concerned, MSRP on here is comes in almost $1,400. The street price on this is going to be, if you catch the sales, and we'll have some links down below to keep and try and keep those updated in the comments at least. You can wind up picking this thing up for just under $1,000, which for its features, where it sits, and the quality of the build and the glass, puts it in a pretty respectable price point for what it is. There's a crazy crowded market right now as you go through the variables from like 1 to 4s, 1 to 6s, 7s, 8s. So there's a huge spectrum there. We've done several videos on some of those variable optics, so feel free to go ahead and check those out if you're interested to learn a little bit more about those and some of the differences between where reticles are placed and some of the other features of glass and things like that that really make a difference between what sort of variable power optic you're going with, especially depending on your intended purpose. If your intended purpose is to put it on like a 22 rifle and plink, 1 to 4 power on a 22 rifle and plink, almost anything is going to do well. The more you're going to use it, especially with 3-gun competitions, or if you're going to use it for something like a self-defense type rifle, you really need to start paying attention to a lot of those stats and a lot of those features that it has. Anyway, that's been covered in other videos. I won't rehash that here now. If you have any questions, leave them down below, or facebook.com/gun reviews. You can also reach us Instagram. We are at 13C Gun Reviews. Of course, sign up for that newsletter. We'll put those links down below. And the best way you can support us is to like, comment, share, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. That's the best way, and it doesn't cost you guys anything. And we appreciate all those comments, all the feedback, including constructive criticism. There's something you'd like to see, maybe done a little different or something included, let us know. We appreciate it. And Patreon, if you feel like supporting us in another way, we have that, patreon.com/13C. You can check us out over there, and the swag shop if you're interested in picking up some cool, unique patches and other swag that's made specifically for us that you won't find anywhere else. Thanks again. Take care. Stay safe. Talk soon.